For us, what happened during the 9 months was the film industry went on strike. We did like 2 shoots when I was like 8.5 months pregnant. My first job back for the same project was the day before my son turned a month old. Make it work however it works that day. I don't like saying no to things. And like, I wanted to feel like I could do it all. Giving yourself grace and like not being afraid to ask for grace.
Welcome to Baby Bump and Business, the podcast for creative moms growing a baby and a brand at the same time. I'm your host, B. Troford Wilson, photographer, educator, and first-time mom-to-be, sharing the real unfiltered journey of pregnancy, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Each week, I'll be joined by a fellow creative mom to talk about the beauty, the burnout, and the balance of it all. So let's get into it. Today's guest is Brittany Wages. Brittany is an Atlanta-based photographer, artist, mother, gardener, and community organizer. Her commercial work focuses on food, lifestyle, and portraits, and her personal work is always centered on human connections. Hi, Brittany. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes. So, as a full-time creative, married to a freelance creative, what was your initial thought process when you all were planning to start a family?
It was just kind of I knew I wanted kids. My husband took some coming around, as we've grown up. We've been married 5 years this fall. And I mean, really it just kind of came down to like, well, you just gotta leap. I there's there's never a good time. And even if right now seems like it's gonna be a good time, like there's no telling what's gonna happen in 9 months. Um, for us, what happened during the 9 months was the film industry went on strike. And my husband works in the film industry. So that was timing is out of your hands, really, we just went for it and have been just figuring it out day by day as we've gone.
Perfect. So as you said, the film strike happened. So when you found out that you guys were pregnant, did you have any plans or thoughts around, okay, what is my maternity leave going to look like, or what are things that I need to start putting in place now that we know that this is happening?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of sketched out ideas of like, all right, how much do we kind of want to have banked and saved, set aside for like being able to take some time off for both of us. Like, you don't really know how anything's gonna go. Like, how long did I want him to be able to be at home? And um, but also knowing freelance world, like you don't know what kind of opportunities might show up. I mean, my plan was just kind of, I'm gonna put up an out of office. I'm gonna let my recurring clients know, and if something cool comes up in my inbox though, like I might I might be like, just kidding, I'm right here. So we were due mid-July, and I think my husband finished up working on some movies in like the end of May, basically. So we knew at least like we'd have a nice little stretch for him to kind of like be home and do like painting the nursery and just a lot of those like last minute pushes for things. And then right about that time was like the writer's strike took off, got going. So we're like, well, I guess you're home for a while. Either way, but because you can't predict what's going to happen, a long-term friend and client came back up with a huge project to shoot a second cookbook with the City of Atlanta Visitors Bureau. So we did like 2 shoots when I was like 8.5 months pregnant. And then they were like, okay, well, I guess we'll see you in a couple months. I mean, there's like a picture of me like standing on a bar stool to like get an overhead shot, and like we're just like, this is maybe not my best call, but like we got to get the shot.
So was that your last job technically before having your baby?
Yeah, so I think kind of I had to give them the heads up of like, all right, really, we should not be scheduling things with chefs like, from July 10th out kind of thing. Um and I was like, give me a few weeks and I'll let you know how I'm doing is kind of like where we left it. Like, don't schedule anything until you've kind of like heard from me. And we ended up my first job back for the same project was the day before my son turned a month old. My husband works in lighting, so like he was thankfully available to like come assist. So he like we've got a photo of him like pushing a gear cart into a food hall like with our son strapped to him.
That's beautiful. That's so
And we just
beautiful.
I had a hard time saying no to things. Like I still wanted to shoot. You know, it like even clients who were like, "Oh, you can just like help us like find someone to fill in while you're out." And I was like, "Oh, but I
I
want to
want to.
go."
Right. And I think that's the hardest thing, when you're a creative that enjoys and loves what you do, you still want to push where it's like, I mean, think I can, or could try, or, you
Right.
don't want to say no.
Yeah. And like it was good and bad. Like I mean, there was also the pressure of like we don't know when my husband's going back to work. Like maybe we don't need to say no to anything right now. And like maybe these clients won't come back around if I say no for too long or, but I remember like I ended up having a C-section and like had trouble healing with that and my sister was pregnant at the same time with twins. And so we were like, it was 2 weeks post C-section, but we were like, we don't know how long she's got. Like, we've got to get these maternity photos taken. So, like, I was told by my midwife the day before that, like, I shouldn't be carrying my own diaper bag. But I was like, but I gotta get these photos of her. Like,
I got to.
and like, probably shouldn't have been climbing up and down on the ground, but I did get the shot. I don't know.
You do anything for the shot.
Right, like yeah,
So
you know?
so so during your pregnancy, when it did come time for you to have to tell clients that you were pregnant or that, what was that like? Oftentimes, especially as freelancers, when we're afraid to say no or we're afraid to disclose certain information, when did you feel comfortable letting your clients know, like, hey, I can do the project, but I'm gonna be carrying something along with me?
Right, yeah, well, I got lucky, I had a huge surge of work right before I got pregnant, and then it just stopped in time for me to just kind of, like, lay on the couch through my entire first trimester, which, like, went through the holidays, and, like, I was so exhausted. That was, like, my main issue first trimester. I was like, "Okay," like, we banked some things and, like, now I can just kinda chill and, like, do admin work on the couch. But I think my first really big project I had while pregnant, I was, like, far enough along that I was showing, it was about halfway through, and thankfully I had that, like, second trimester surge of energy, um, but it was a pretty big production with, like, a pretty intense shot list, but the team was all women, like, from the agency side, the production, etcetera, and so I was kinda like, "Ah, you're gonna get here and, like, I'm visibly pregnant." So, like, I might need an Apple box, like, I might need to stop to go to the bathroom, like, which doesn't I'm like, also, those shouldn't be things I need to, like, ask for permission to do.
Right.
But, like, I don't know like, it was a team I hadn't worked with before and, like, just making sure you guys know that, like, I can't run a set that way. And then, like and again, I had my husband and, like, one of our best friends as, like, my camera assistants and stuff, and, uh, they were people were babying me a little bit. They were kinda like, anytime they were, like, resetting, they were like, "Please sit down," like, taking cameras out of my hands and stuff, and I'm like, "Would you be saying this if I wasn't pregnant?" But also, I will sit down, thank you. Like
It's like I'm not handicapped, but I'll accept the help. I'll accept
right,
it.
right, and, like, I think my gaffer dozed off during lunch, so I was like, "Okay, see, it's not just me, like, this is a long day."
Nice. So
But, like, then from there, it was like, okay, well, it was a lot of recurring clients and, like, that big cookbook project where it's like, "Yeah, you guys just gotta know, like, for your scheduling for the rest of the year, like, here's what's coming down the line.
So did you have any specific requirements that you let them know? Like you said, like, having to go to the bathroom, of course. Were there any other things that you had to put in place just to make sure that you would be physically okay? Because it's not easy, you know?
Mhm. Not really. I mean, thankfully, like, and that's I go in phases when my husband's on a movie full time or not, where like I can get really reliant on him as my first assistant. And then he gets back on a show, and I'm like, oh, wait, who does all these like, because he like, we're partners, you know? It's like he knows my gear because it lives in his house. He knows exactly what I'm, like, thinking of next. He knows how I like to light. He knows what I want to drink, you know? Like, he really does know all of it, and so I did get lucky that, like, as long as he was there, I knew all of that stuff was gonna get taken care of, that, like, I could focus and, like, I mean, I just got really lucky with the people I worked with, that, like, everyone was chill and supportive and accommodating, and, like, it was really nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So going into, you said that you guys, I forgot when you said you went back into work afterwards was when you did your sister's maternity photos.
Yeah, so technically, yeah,
Technically.
2 weeks after was the
Okay.
first time I, like, had to pick up a camera for someone else.
Gotcha. And then when was your first client job after having?
Um, 1 month, like, exactly.
Ooh, whew, and
Yeah.
how was that? Especially coming from a C-section, which we know takes a little bit longer recovery than natural. What was that like?
Uh, Not great. Um, I mean, again, thankfully had my guy there carrying literally everything, including the baby. Um, and it was a little bit of like a fast-paced day. We were like trying to cover a bunch of different places in a food hall, and like nursing in between like different restaurants' time slots, and like it was overwhelming for sure. Like I was like, well, I know that chef is ready, but like also this baby is crying, and like we did all know the baby would be here. So like just like to manage expectations, like we did know this was gonna happen.
Right. And so what was that like, especially knowing you have to balance not just your client expectations and a crazy shot list, but now you have to put in time to feed, which is
Right.
something you wouldn't have to naturally consider. What was that like trying to balance that?
It was weird. I mean, a lot of that like most of what I shot coming back for the first several months was for this cookbook project. And so nothing was like a long shoot, you know, like it was just sort of small time slots, and like chefs' schedules are insane. They've got 15 minutes to give us at best, and like there's knives and fire everywhere, literally. But, like, I'm either gonna have to stop to pump in between our, like, 2 hours here, 1 hour there as we go through a day, or I'm just gonna have to, like, bring him along and nurse, which is primarily what we did. And so, yeah, we were just kind of trying to, like, base the schedules each day, like, around those, like, 2 to 3 hour feeding windows, which, like, thankfully, the way the days worked, it usually was fine. But, like, we were at a blank on the name. I remember the chef's name, Freddie Money, but it's Atlas? I'm gonna feel so bad if that's the wrong one. But I think it was Atlas. It was right before they got their Michelin star, because that was also happening the same season with the same teams. But, like, we had the entire, like, visitors bureau, like, crew there with us, and, like, me and Christian, my husband, are, like, in the kitchen shooting them making this dish that's, like, so intricate and delicate and, like, involves shaved ice stuff and, like, a sauce being poured. Like, we have 2 seconds, you know, to, like, get this shot, and, like, someone just, like, taps me on the shoulder and they're like, "Henry's crying, but, like, it's okay, Daniela's got him." Like, they found the bottle in the stroller, and I was just like, "Alright," again, like, I guess we all knew that we signed up for having the brand new mom shoot this. Like, we all knew the baby would be here. I think that same day, like, we came straight there from having to get a tongue tie, like, clipped. Like, it was a rough morning of, like, literally like holding your newborn baby while they like have a tiny surgery. And it was like so hard. And getting the shot that day was really hard. Like the dish was finicky. But I was like, all right, this is the village. Like there are four other moms back there passing my baby around because I'm the one who's got to do this right now. It was crazy. And like kind of the entire like first 6 months of his life felt a little bit like that.
So, how would you say for, like, the first 6 months, did he always come to set with you?
Pretty much. Yeah, there were like a couple days that like my in-laws would be in town or if they were visiting anyways or like we just had to go too far. Like I think the first time he stayed for a long shoot, um we had like a full client day for a different project and he stayed with a friend who had started babysitting for us and I like ran home at lunch to like nurse and pump and like barely had time to like handle that in between the shot list anyways, but yeah, he got dragged around to like a lot of restaurants like for the first 7 or 8 months of his life basically.
Woo! That sounds like a lot.
I'm like
You
sweating
know? Yeah,
remembering
so
it, you know.
it's like, "Oh, you did that, girl, you did that."
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean, there was like a clothing store e-commerce clan I've had for like 10 years. Again, all moms and like grandmas in there on set and like I just like switched to sitting next to my husband. Like I had him take over shooting so that I could like nurse and just like direct him. It's like truly just make it work however it works that day.
Right. And would you also attribute the trust that your clients have in you to be able to still be capable to do that even while you're balancing this new thing that's happening in your life?
Well, for sure. I mean, all of my clients, like for the first 6 months or so, were long-term repeat clients that like I've built up that relationship with. That like if they said like, "Hey, we've got something. Are you up for it?" And I said, "Yeah," then they're like, "Okay, let us know what you need in order to be up for it." And sometimes that meant it was clients holding my baby. Sometimes it was just the schedule. Like somehow it worked.
That's beautiful. Okay, now that does sound a little challenging, right? It's like, let's be honest, it is something different, especially when you've been doing this so long. You've built this reputation with all these clients. What would you say was the hardest adjustment for you? Would it be more mentally, emotionally, or physically? What would you say was the hardest adjustment while going through
Mm.
that transition?
I think, I mean, I know for one thing, like it was hard because none of it like went kind of how I would have pictured. Like I don't know that I had like a set maternity length time in mind, but like in theory I would have done it the right way and like really let myself have time off. But also I my plan was an unmedicated natural birth at the birth center. And that didn't work. And I had a C-section at Grady instead. So, like a lot of things just like and that's not unexpected. That's how my career as a freelancer goes is, like there's always something a bit out of your control. There's only so much you can plan for. But like I definitely had moments of frustration where like, why have I signed on to this much stuff? Like the expectations with clients are they've kind of maybe forgotten that I have to bring a baby and that like I had abdominal surgery 6 weeks ago and so there were definitely like moments where I was like, oh, maybe I have like said yes to too much for sure. That was probably the hardest, but knowing that, like, I said yes to it. Like, this still
Right.
all comes back to me and, like, what changes or boundaries am I willing to make? And that adjustment was very weird because I don't like saying no to things, and, like, I wanted to feel like I could do it all. But really, thankfully, he was a great sleeper, and, like, that's probably the only reason why any of it was possible. If we hadn't been sleeping, like, it would have been a completely different story.
Right. So what would you say has been, in terms of, like you said, it's hard for you to say no, right? Now that you've moved into that sector of being a mother, and now let's say you're 6 months in, what boundaries did you have to start setting to make sure that you weren't getting overwhelmed or you weren't putting too much on your plate?
Well, so I guess it was like maybe he was like 7 or 8 months old, and my husband went back to work, like back on a show full time. So that completely, flipped our schedule and what our days looked like. And I was primary parent heavily. Um, and that cookbook project slowed down, so that shifted, everything kind of shifted all at once again, and I was able to like slow down and just spend more time with him. Um, but like, yeah, I mean, with that, even just realizing that like retouching time was now just like it wasn't just I need a sitter for the times when I need to go shoot, like someone has to watch him. It's like, oh, for me to like finish the project, for me to schedule the project, for me to take the meetings, like what do I do with the baby? And like sometimes I'm just holding him because at that age, like he could be still. But like realizing as a business owner, like it's very easy when you're just totally on your own schedule. You make your own hours. You can do this work at whatever time you need to do to fit into your life. And like realizing that my time had a very different value now. Um, that, like I'm gonna have to pay someone in order to do that retouching time. So now there is like an overhead cost to what it takes me to retouch those photos. So I outsourced retouching for the first time on a big job. And that was one of the things where it was just like, oh, realistically, no, like that's just not going to happen. Like someone else needs to do it. So it was a lot of delegating, really, was kind of figuring it out and being a lot more intentional. Like, I think it's very easy as a self-employed person to just kind of like, at least for me, to be very unfocused with my days if I don't like lock them in somehow, if there's not like a meeting or a client expecting me somewhere. But it was like, oh no, like you've got this nap time and that's it, girl. You gotta buckle in. Like there's no just like browsing the internet looking for an idea of like who you want to contact today. Like so it helped a lot with focus and like the prioritization of things. And like learning that I think was the biggest shift and accepting like what was realistic for me to be able to get done instead of that like dance you do where you're like, oh well, I put a million things on my list and like I didn't do all of them and now I feel bad. It was like, okay, don't do that to yourself. Like, what has to be done today? How do you get it done? Like, where does it actually fit? And then, like, congrats, you won. Like, the baby was fed and slept, and like, you delivered those photos, and like,
It's a good
go lay
day.
down.
Oh man. And I think so, that I think that's something that we often don't speak about, right? Especially when it comes to women who are going into this new chapter. It's an adjustment on all parts, right? Where it's not just your life's not just changing because you're becoming a mother. Your life as an entrepreneur is also changing. And now there are different things that you have to start calculating or try to start
Hmm.
rethinking or replanning to make sure that your business can still move and still flow in a way that's still possible and still makes sense while still giving you the rest that you need in this time, you know?
Right. Yeah. Like, figuring out like what's realistic, and like which pieces do you actually care about? Like, I didn't care that much about the retouching. Like, that's not my favorite piece to handle. So, like, why am I going to fight to squeeze that in when I don't have to?
Right. Now, did you at any point in this process, did you ever look for alternatives in terms of childcare? And if so, what did that look like?
Um, I have to like give a shout out because like she appeared in the best possible moment. So we're pretty close to East Atlanta Village. And around the time my son was like 6-ish months old, this woman, Selena, opened Heinz House in EAV. She is a mom. She was pregnant at the time that they opened, which like impressive. But it's co-working and childcare, and it's super flexible. It's just like drop in, or you can get a membership, but like there is an office and then there's like the kids' playroom next to it. So like if you're nursing, you can just come in and out. Like if you just want to go sniff your baby's head, they're right there. But like once my husband went back to work, like that's mainly how I was able to get things done is going over there for like 4-hour blocks of time while he got to like play with other kids and get his socialization and like play outside. So they're incredible. Heinz House, like truly anytime I talk to especially other like freelance parents and they're like, co-working child care exists. I'm like, yes, and you should go. Like it saved us. I don't know what we would have done otherwise, truly. Like my family isn't far, but they're like an hour-ish away. So like figuring that out on just like longer shoot days is enough of a hassle, but like having that option of something flexible and that I can just fit in as I need I mean, we still use it all the time.
That's beautiful. And I think, and even just one, that idea of being able to do a co-working and childcare, knowing I can come in, have some team meetings or client calls or get any
Hmm.
admin work done, and knowing that the child is being taken care of and I don't have to worry or stress about that. I think that's something that a lot of us as freelancers and as entrepreneurs, that's a worry or that's a concern
Yeah.
where it's like, how can I balance both? And if I'm trying to do this meeting at this time, but now the baby's awake and now I have to, try to figure this out, but I don't want to be unprofessional,
Right,
you
right.
know,
Well,
and
and like as a freelancer, I work so much better, like when I'm just surrounded by other people who are also getting work done versus like you're at your house and you're like, "Oh, those dishes though," like having a space to also just like, okay, I am getting ready. I am getting into work mode. I have this 4-hour block. Like, here's what I need to get done. I'm paying for it. So like we better make
definitely
use
need
of
to
the
use it.
time, you know? And like I definitely read some newsletters. Like I let my brain relax as well too, but like the structure of it was just huge, even outside of the like someone else is watching my kid part. Like it's great.
So now you've been able to go into the toddler season. Has anything or what changes happened that made it easier in terms of balancing your entrepreneurial life as well as being a mother?
I mean, we're still shuffling between, like we had long seasons of my husband being on shows and like working a lot of nights. And so it's always kind of figuring out like, okay, now these 2 months are going to look like this. And like, then 6 months from now, like, we don't know what your schedule will look like and we don't know what this kid is going to act like. So it's just like quarterly reassessment. My son is extremely high energy, which is another thing about like having somewhere for him to go. Like he was so much easier to manage than the rest of the day if he's like been out of the house getting to do things. So he started preschool last week, which is weird. He's there right now. Like he's in this adorable little 2-year-old class, at a cooperative preschool that we're super excited about. He's going to go 3 mornings a week. And like truly last week, like on his first day, we just like got home from dropping him off and we're like, what do we like? He's just not, neither of us have him. Like, what do we do now? Like, what? We just, like, my husband was just like reading a book for fun at like noon.
That's so cute.
It's incredible. Like, it's just the best feeling. And I miss him, but like, he's having so much fun, first of all. And then he like comes home and then he naps. And like, we had a full day, to like do things. And then like 2 days later, we got to do it again. And like, that's just our routine now. So I'm figuring that out. I'm like trying to understand, how this is gonna fit. And every week's a little different. Like tomorrow, my husband will be on set. So like, he's mine all day. He doesn't have school. But then like Thursday, like I'm off again. I get to go work. So yeah, it's still constantly like a readjustment and like you don't know what mood they're gonna wake up in. He woke up at 6:30 this morning and like I've tried to start becoming a morning person. I'm doing the artist's way right now to like rework some creative burnout. Um of probably just from like trying to exist as a mom in 2025 with a toddler. But so I'm working through that. I started waking up at like 6:30 in the morning, but like he senses that I'm awake no matter how silent I am, like doing my journaling. So you try to come up with systems and like sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
And I
That's
think
how we're doing with a
right.
toddler.
And even as again, like you said, with both of you guys being freelance creatives, every day is different. It's not like someone who has a set 9 to 5, so they know what their week is going to look like. They know what
Hmm.
the year is going to look like. It's literally every day can look different, and trying to readjust for that, and trying to. There's no real. It's hard to create a routine when it looks like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to create a system when it's like, okay, I'm on set all day. Oh, he's on set all day, and now, or we're both on set this day. So
Hmm.
what does that routine look like? And that I know that can seem challenging for a lot of people who may be in a similar field or a similar mindset. So what would you say for any woman who's going through that, where her and her spouse are a freelance creative, what tip would you give them that has helped you maintain understanding that it's okay to not have a set routine and it's just okay to just go with the flow because that's really what it is?
I mean, it does make it easier in a lot of ways, like because we're used to having to like pivot and readjust and adapt to a new thing, then like it becomes a really good skill to have then when it's like, oh, just kidding, he doesn't nap anymore, or like, like we're always kind of ready to be like, all right, let's reassess what's the new plan, and like you don't get too attached to the plan because who knows what's gonna happen in 2 weeks when he's got a new tooth. I don't know. So like leaning into that as a skill that you have that like you've built up for however long you've been running this business or whatever, your career path looks like, that's done that. But then on the other hand, knowing like, okay, but like if we don't have some sort of rhythm, like if we don't find space, like during a slow week and it's like, oh, buddy, we haven't left the house in like 3 days. Like no wonder we're both freaking out a little. So like still trying to like look ahead as far as you can and like, all right, there's nothing on the calendar right now. Like that's where something like Heinz House that's really flexible comes in, where it's like, all right, real quick, we can go do that Monday. If a client calls, I can move that to another day that week. Even coming down to like building in some outside time so that then like he'll play independently while I like answer some emails. Just kind of like looking as far ahead as you can with the information you do have and like build in what you can in a way that feels realistic. I
That's a
mean, my
good one.
calendar looks slammed full, and I even have blocks on there for like, I'm out of pocket this time. This is dinner and bedtime. And then I'm going to have to reset the house afterwards. And like, just know you're not going to get anything else done, but like learning, I can't really put things back to back because you don't know what's going to happen in between. And like, you got to have flex room on all of it. And like I didn't really accept that about the way I work until I had a kid that like it had to work around too.
Mm.
So it's made me do a lot better job of like understanding what actually is sustainable and doable and like able to prioritize the things.
Beautiful. And I think even like you said, it's hard sometimes to think about being flexible until you're put in a position where you have to start being flexible in your life and being understanding. And like you said, you may not no longer be able to do the back to back because something can come up, or you just may need to rest. You may just need to
Hmm.
have time to reset for yourself or need time with your child. So I think that that's beautiful. So in closing, if you can give one piece of advice that you've learned through this journey, I know there's a lot of advice, but if you could just give one for a woman who's about to go through this next phase or this next chapter in their life, what would you say would be that saving grace for you?
That's funny that you just called it like a saving grace because, like, I feel like just giving yourself grace and like not being afraid to ask for grace, like, it has just completely shifted my perspective on like, if I like was so hugely appreciated to like have clients that supported me and like understood that like I'm in a human body that needs to sit down sometimes and like I am a human who like has to go care for another person, then it's like, oh, we all need that. Like, whether you have a baby or kids at all, like, we can all give each other that grace and space. And, like, then that becomes reciprocal. And, like, it just makes it all so much more rewarding and easier and, like, possible for each other. But, like, you have to learn how to, like, both give and ask for it.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, I need now a little bit just to dive a little bit in. How do you get the courage to ask for grace?
I think for me, it was like, well, there's just like, there's a very obvious clue here now that I need it, whether that was the bump or like the screaming baby. Like it made it very hard for me to ignore. Like as someone like I'm an eldest daughter of an eldest daughter, like I was not asking for help before. I was very good at giving help, not good at asking for it. And now it like no one can deny that like I've been told I can't lift this camera bag. Like we're people are going to force that help on me even if I'm like not really willing to ask for it. And then hitting walls where you're like, yeah, I can't get this done today. Like I'm either going to need some support or some grace for it. And like thinking like, "Oh, you do too." Like if I can ask for that, then like you should ask for that. Like we can all give that to each other. It's that easy. Like it just, yeah, it's been like a huge mindset shift on the like compassion that it's built both for myself and for other people. Like change the game.
Beautiful. Well, Brittany, again, thank you so much for your honesty. Thank you for sharing so much information. I know I've learned a lot, and I know that our listeners are going to learn so much in this. One, you're doing a banging job. You're doing an amazing job,
Thanks.
especially being at home with two creatives, freelance creatives. I know that it's not as easy as it would be for others. So if no one's told you today, you're doing an amazing job. And I'm so
Thanks.
inspired by what I've been able to learn from you and your journey today. And I can't wait for listeners to be able to be inspired by it as well.
I can't wait to listen to everything. Like I can't wait to get nuggets from everyone else. Like this is great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. But again, Brittany, again, thank you again so much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Baby Bump and Business. I hope today's conversation reminded you that you're not alone on this journey and that there's so much power in building something beautiful while becoming someone new. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate, review, or share it with another creative mom who needs the encouragement. Your support helps this community grow and lets more stories like ours be heard. To stay connected and get updates on new episodes and real talk from creative moms like you, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Baby Bump and Business. Until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and give yourself all the grace that you deserve.